things around. Well, here are 4 tasks that will make a remarkable improvement to dull landscaping. Number 1, thick, lush green grass. We need food and water to be healthy. Our lawn care programs and irrigation systems provide your grass with everything it needs to thrive. Number 2, pruning. Regular, technically correct pruning keeps plants strong and vibrant. Number 3, plant bed edging and a fresh layer of bark mulch. There's nothing better than the look of crisp bed edges and fresh mulch. Number 4, landscape lighting. You finally have your landscaping looking its best. A landscape lighting system lets your landscaping come alive after dark. So there you are, 4 landscaping tips that amplify the beauty of your home. Please call Seasonal Services at 262-392-3444 or look for us online at seasonalservices.com.
What's the best way to save or make the most money when buying or selling your home? Hey, Sean Hannity here, and as an active investor, I can tell you the only thing more expensive than hiring a professional real estate agent is hiring an amateur. Now, there are over 100 details in a single transaction, and dollars are in the details. That's why it's important to hire the most experienced and knowledgeable agent. I'm talking about Justin Hoffman with RE/MAX Lakeside. Whether it's instant cash to buy your home or a 6-figure marketing plan to expose your home to the most people and sell it for the most money, or options that most agents can't offer, he has helped thousands of families with unique circumstances sell their homes on time and for the most amount of money. Now, you can find out in less than 60 seconds what your home is worth in this market by a true authority. Just go to wihomeeval.com or just Google Team Hoffman and check out over 700 5-star reviews.
Get everything for your next project at Menards and save big money. Enjoy a good night's sleep for less with a new Serta mattress. Shop today and save big. The better the mattress, the better the savings. Find the perfect mattress that fits your size and firmness needs at Menards. America's #1 home improvement retailer for customer satisfaction, according to JD Power. Visit jdpower.com for details and menards.com for deals.
Save big money at Menards.
I'm Flawless Flooring's Dave Brownsdorf. Flawless Flooring has upgraded the ultimate home upgrade experience with single point of contact customer experience and our second 5,000 square foot Lake Country Flooring Gallery at Highway 83 and 994. Flawless Flooring's luxury vinyl plank can be installed throughout your whole home over old, worn, tired hardwood flooring, even over dated ceramic bath tile or any old kitchen floor surface. With zero demolition or after Flawless's employee-only artisans dispose of dog and cat stink stained carpet. Visit either Flawless Flooring Idea Gallery, meet your single point of contact, choose from literally countless flooring options on display, and we'll eliminate stains and stink by throwing the carpeting in a dumpster right before Flawless Flooring's employee-only installers beautify your everyday going forward. Flawless's 15-month, 0% financing means you can lock in the value of today's dollar for dollars you'll earn next year, then love home more every day in between. Sensory Under Load, Flawless Flooring, New Berlin, Delafield, FlawlessFlooringLLC.com.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here with urgent news. The world's central banks are making unprecedented moves, and it's time to pay attention. In 2022 and 2023, they bought more gold than ever before. And now in 2024, the trend is accelerating. Why? Because central banks have lost faith in the dollar. And in these uncertain times, gold is the ultimate safe haven. If you too are worried about the dollar, I urge you to take similar action by diversifying your IRA or 401k into gold with my trusted friends at Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SECURE to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantage status. So text SECURE to 989898. That's SECURE to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
Between the lines,
far beyond legal and ethical limits,
and under the surface,
too dangerous or disruptive to the existing status quo.
Hosts Ben Bolin, Matt Frederick, and Noel Brown introduce you to the world of stuff they don't want you to know.
We have officially entered the age of biohacking.
History is riddled with unexplained events.
Is somebody messing with us?
Now it's time for some answers.
Take us to the edge of the rabbit hole. We'll do the rest.
Listen to Stuff They Don't Want You to Know on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Stuff They Don't Want You to Know and start listening.
Dan O'Donnell Show. Vice presidential nominee JD Vance is going to be in Wisconsin this evening. He's visiting De Pere, the Amerilex family of companies, at about 6:30, delivering remarks on the economy, inflation, and energy. Before he does, however, he joins us right now. Senator Vance, welcome to the Dan O'Donnell Show.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
Well, it's so great to have you back, sir. Now, I understand that doing one-on-one interviews is very, very difficult for either a vice president or a vice presidential candidate. Would you like to invite a friend to join you? I understand this might be tough for you. Do you need a buddy like Kamala Harris does?
No, I don't think so. I think I can handle this one myself. But, I just had somebody mention, and of course I've done so many interviews. I think the president and I have done one joint interview right after he picked me, but largely we've been going out and talking to the media, even very hostile media, just the two of us. But somebody just mentioned this to me. I think it is a funny comparison of, I guess there's this trend of young people, 18, 19, going into their first job interview and bringing their mom or their dad with them. That's a little bit the feeling this gives off that, Kamala Harris, she's just a little too nervous, a little too anxious about this interview. So she's going to bring Tim Walz in with her to help her out and make sure that if she gets in any hot water, he can bail her out. It's a pretty bizarre thing. The person who wants to be the president of the United States can't sit for an interview without a battle buddy.
Yeah, that is kind of amazing, especially since I've heard Tim Walz being described as the buffoonish sitcom dad.
Well,
so it sort of fits.
Well, it does, though it serves a useful distraction. I mean, people have asked me, why do you think she's doing this with Tim Walz? And I actually think the answer is pretty straightforward. She's so bad at answering questions about her record. And look, the record is terrible, right? She supported all the policies that drove up the cost of housing, drove up the cost of groceries, opened the southern border. She supported this stuff, and she's on video supporting things like suspending deportation. So she can't talk about her record, but what she can do is use, I think, Tim Walz as a bit of a lifeline. So what I suspect will happen is that if she gets in any hot water, Tim Walz will sort of come in and be the bailout. And if you see the buffoonish sitcom dad, at least they're not focusing on Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket. They're focusing on him. So it is a bold strategy to hide from the American people, but that's what she's doing.
Well, and the media is allowing her to do it. That's the thing that is so utterly galling. If I'm CNN and Dana Bash, who got the first interview with Kamala Harris and her tag team partner, Tim Walz, it's like they want Hulk Hogan, but he brings the Ultimate Warrior with him. I mean, this is not how it works. When you're facing Andre the Giant, right? You don't get to take a tag team partner. But I mean, it speaks volumes, I think, about a media that is, again, I was just sort of perusing the headlines, sir, this morning, that the big focus on you is not the very, very strong remarks you made in Michigan, but apparently they're going back to the old saw of you saying childless cat ladies. I mean, it's like they have their narrative, and come hell or high water, they're going to stick with it, right? It's like Kamala is okay to have her dad in the interview, and JD Vance, well, he can do 1,000 interviews and be very eloquent. We're going to find some out-of-context comments he made 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's their strategy, but I think the American people are smart enough to see past this stuff. I mean, yes, I've made many sarcastic comments in my life, and the Kamala Harris campaign has decided to focus on those, as opposed to the fact that she has been a complete failure as vice president, and now she's running for president. She's asking the American people for a promotion, but she refuses to even sit down for an interview, of course, unless she has her friend sitting alongside of her. So I think that we just have to keep the focus on the record and on the policies. Donald Trump delivered peace and prosperity. He's the candidate of low prices and rising take-home pay. Kamala Harris is the candidate of war and your family getting poorer. And that's exactly what her record has been. And I'm proud to run alongside a guy who actually delivered for the American people and will do so again. So, what I find interesting is that as much as the Kamala campaign tries to constantly bring this stuff back, even with the hostile media, they're kind of rolling their eyes at this point. Like, they've already played this out, they've already told this story, and now they're focused on the policies. They're going to be biased, and they're going to ask us some unfair questions. We're all here for it, because whether it's a fair question or not, it gives us an opportunity to talk to the American people about why Kamala Harris has been such a disaster.
Senator JD Vance, the vice presidential nominee, joining me here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Kamala Harris's campaign has now agreed to the framework, the rules for the debate on September 10th. Senator Vance, I know you've been part of this back and forth. Did you suggest at all possibly being able to do the debate with Donald Trump? Because I heard Kamala wanted to have Tim Walz there while she was debating. Would you guys consider doing like a tag team wrestling thing?
Oh, man, I think that there are a lot of challenges that I've had in politics. I think that doing a debate with Donald Trump, he can handle himself, and he's such a big personality, and I really think that we got to have the focus on the guys at the top of the ticket, and then, of course, the guys who are number 2 in the ticket. But it would be a lot of fun. I'm sure that we would have a great time, but I think it would probably be more distracting for everybody than actually illuminating. So I'm glad the president is going to take on Kamala by himself. It is telling, man. I mean, look, they agreed to this debate months ago. And look, the president is justifiably frustrated that he agreed to an early debate with Joe Biden and basically just helped the Democrats in the process, because he knocked him out of the race, did the Democrats a favor. But if you talk to the people who are negotiating this stuff behind the scenes, it's like the Kamala Harris campaign popped up out of nowhere and said, we want to change the rules because we think the rules are bad for Kamala. And ABC was like, well, maybe we should do that. I think it's good they're debating. I think it's good that they're sticking to the agreement that they originally had. And again, people are going to see Kamala Harris by herself answering questions, and I think the contrast with President Trump is just going to be really striking for the American people in a good way for us.
Did the president express his frustration to you about possibly helping the Democrat Party throw Joe Biden overboard? I mean, is this because this was something that's sort of been speculated about? Maybe he shouldn't have agreed to that June 27th debate, that this was the plan all along, that Democrats were going to use Biden's performance no matter what it was to get rid of him. Has he expressed that frustration?
He said it publicly, and he's also said it privately, certainly, that, look, the Democrats had to throw Joe Biden overboard. Though it is interesting. I think they probably would have thrown him overboard even if the president hadn't done the debate, because eventually it would have come out what a disaster Joe Biden was. And by the way, we can't let Kamala Harris off the hook on this. It's not just that Joe Biden was a disaster. It's that for 3.5 years, Kamala Harris lied to the American people about whether he was mentally competent to do the job. And think about all of the ways, big and small, where you need a president who, even if you disagree with all of his policies, you need somebody who is mentally able and mentally capable. I mean, there are trade deals that can be negotiated. There are peace treaties and other treaties that can be negotiated. There are just informal conversations that happen every day between the president and world leaders, between our enemies and our allies alike. You need somebody who's sharp. Kamala Harris saddled the American people with a president for 3.5 years who cannot do the job. It's why we have skyrocketing inflation. It's why we have chaos all over the world. And Kamala Harris did it to us. She actually caused this, and we can't let her off the hook for it.
And is this why you think that she's suddenly trying to reverse every single long-held policy position that she's ever had? I mean, for years, she was calling a border wall racist and xenophobic and one of Donald Trump's crazy ideas, and now, lo and behold, via anonymous sources leaking to the media, Kamala supports a border wall? Wait, what?
Yeah, and of course she doesn't, right? And this is the thing we have to remind Americans of, is that as much as she tries to flip-flop and copy Donald Trump's entire platform, she, in reality, has already enacted policies that opened up the border. I mean, you just tick through the things. They suspended deportations on day one. They stopped Donald Trump's Remain in Mexico policy. They re-implemented catch and release, which is how illegal immigrants are able to abuse our asylum system to come into our country by the thousands and even the millions. So they did all these things. And now, of course, yeah, she's trying to hide from the American people that she pursued all these unpopular policies. But we already know how she's going to govern, because she's been governing the country for the last 3.5 years. And this, by the way, is the most audacious thing that Kamala Harris, or maybe any politician, has ever done, where she stands stands in front of a podium and says, on day one, we're going to secure the border. On day one, we're going to tackle the affordability crisis. Kamala, day one was 3.5 years ago. The American people don't need to guess at what your leadership would entail. They've already seen it, and none of us like the results.
Senator JD Vance, my guest here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Sir, welcome back to Wisconsin. I know you'll have a great time this evening, and I also know this is not going to be your last time here in the great state of Wisconsin. Sir, thank you for taking some time to talk with us.
Take care. See you soon.
You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Conservative thought, not just talk.
Vegas, and the musical event of the year. Nice dream, right? Play the nationwide iHeartRadio Music Festival Flyaway Contest, and you could make that dream a reality. 3 times each weekday, play this text-to-win extravaganza. Hourly winners get airfare for 2 hotel accommodations and tickets to the iHeartRadio Music Festival, September 20th and 21st, plus a $1,000 gift card.
The iHeartRadio Music Festival Flyaway Contest is presented by Bob's Glass in Waukesha. If it's anything glass, think Bob's Glass. Bob's-Glass.com.
Kevin Sorbo here, and I have an important message to share. If you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Tax Network USA is A+ rated and has saved over $500 million for their clients. Whether you owe a few thousand or a few million, they can help you.
Call Tax Network USA at 800-728-2000 or visit tnusa.com. That's 800-728-2000 or visit tnusa.com.
The ER led me to establish Reset Restore MD, or R&R MD Ketamine Therapy Center. Sadly, right now, depression, anxiety, addiction, chronic pain, and PTSD are too common. Relief for people depressed, anxious, battling addiction, or living their life in pain is critically important. Traditional treatments can create potentially dangerous side effects, even suicidal feelings. While mental health issues can widely be misunderstood, they are real. People with treatment-resistant depression, anxiety, addiction, PTSD, or pain often have deficient levels of feel-good chemicals, including serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, locking them in an endless cycle of sadness, pain, and anxiety. No matter what they do, symptoms remain. Ketamine helps retrain the brain out of this cycle, stimulating normal release of feel-good chemicals. A ketamine infusion takes about an hour at R&R MD. The reset or restore of feel-good chemicals can continue for weeks, months, even a lifetime. R&R for relief. Reset Restore MD. RNRMD.com.
Ever felt like this about your auto dealer?
I really wanted a Mazda. So I decided to give Holiday in Fond du Lac the first shot of my business. I'm pretty lucky. My vehicle buying experiences before have been pretty darn good. This was decidedly better.
At Holiday Mazda, earning the trust and respect of drivers by providing a car buying experience that delights and makes fans of guests like WISN's Jerry Bott is what drives us. Connect with Holiday for giant selection. Get more for your trade and our low simplified price. Then stack it with enticing offers or a comfortably low lease payment. Right now, well-qualified buyers can lock in finance rates as low as 0% on most 2024 Mazda models. Which Mazda is right for you? Come take a test drive, find out, and enjoy the exceptional guest care of Wisconsin's #1 Mazda dealer. Discover the difference at Holiday Mazda Fond du Lac and holidaymazda.com.
Turned deadly. Darrell Brooks drove his SUV into the Waukesha crowd, targeting as many people as possible. Brooks injured dozens and killed 6, including an 8-year-old child. It never should have happened. Just days earlier, Brooks was arrested for trying to run over his girlfriend, but he was released on just $1,000 bail. Senator Tammy Baldwin voted against increased funding for pretrial detention of violent criminals like Darrell Brooks, making it easier for these criminals to terrorize our communities. Call Senator Baldwin, 608-264-5338. Urge her to support S3919, the Keep Violent Criminals Off Our Streets Act. Because violent criminals belong behind bars. Paid for by One Nation, www.onenationamerica.org.
Well, August 17th is come and gone, and the world of selling real estate has been flipped on its head. Bob Tarantino from Redefined Realty. Guess what the big change is for sellers? You no longer need to commit to upfront buyer agent commissions. That's going to save you a ton of money if you know where to start. Visit redefinedrealty.com for a free comparable market analysis. Talk to one of our agents and get the full commission story. The big brokerages are going to trick you into thinking you need to pay it. You don't. That's redefinedrealty.com.
Hey, if you need to sell your home without all the headaches most people experience, you have a great American right in your backyard that I trust if I needed to sell my home. I'm talking about Justin Hoffman with RE/MAX Lakeside. Just go to wihomeeval.com.
Join News Talk 1130 this Saturday at 4 p.m. for The Word on Medicine, the show that brings you the latest medical innovations and discoveries by physicians and scientists at the Medical College of Wisconsin. That's Saturday afternoon at 4 on News Talk 1130, WISN.
Once again, Vice Presidential nominee JD Vance for joining us second time in a couple of weeks. Pretty much every time he's in Wisconsin. I think we're probably going to get a call, and I love it. He had some fun making fun of Kamala Harris needing to have a tag team partner, a buddy. I love that he analogized this to the millennials who need to bring their mom or dad into a job interview with them. It does feel like that, doesn't it? All right, it is time now on the Dan O'Donnell Show to name the unhinged liberal of the day.
Trump is Hitler. We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil. America is over.
Today's unhinged liberal of the day has a JD Vance component to it. Politico is your unhinged liberal of the day for this tweet, or post on X. Our corrupt leadership. Vance tries to tether Harris to Biden during Michigan rally. He tries to tether Harris, Biden's vice president, to Biden. This one got a fat community note that says Kamala Harris is currently serving as Vice President of the United States for the Biden-Harris administration, a role which she was sworn into on January 20th, 2021. If you actually click on the story, the headline has changed in the wake of Politico's community note humiliation. Vance warns of China's influence during Michigan rally. The story by Mia McCarthy now begins. Republican vice presidential nominee JD Vance started his Rust Belt sweep this week by attacking Vice President Kamala Harris's record on the economy and pushing a message of protecting American jobs in the battleground state of Michigan. Yes, how dare JD Vance try to tether Harris to the Biden-Harris administration for this insane work of bias. Politico, especially the reporter Mia McCarthy, your unhinged liberal of the day. Coming up in the next hour, we will explain why RFK Jr. can drop out of the presidential race, but still remain on the ballot in both Michigan and Wisconsin, with a focus especially here on Wisconsin. The Green Party remains on the ballot thanks to a truly surprising decision by the Wisconsin Supreme Court. I thought for sure that they would kick off the Green Party. But I think and I'll explain this in greater depth next hour, what this would have done would have essentially opened up the door to every challenge that Republicans might make against, say, the Libertarian Party, against RFK Jr. being on the ballot. Here in Wisconsin, the law does appear to be pretty clear that the only thing that can boot a candidate off the ballot, it actually says you cannot request to be removed from the ballot. You have to die. I could totally see RFK Jr. faking his own death. Like Homer Simpson getting an RFK Jr. dummy, just kind of throwing it in a river. But short of that, he's not able to. Now, how exactly Joe Biden was able to qualify for the ballot but didn't die, I mean, he's brain dead, but apparently that doesn't count. I'll explain the nuance there. Also, we are going to play America's favorite game show, Guess What's Racist, coming up probably at about 10:20. Usually we kind of float that, so we will be looking for contestant on that. We have got much, much more on the presidential race. Yes, I am going to reiterate my call, I think, next hour for Tammy Baldwin to be arrested and criminally charged for all the lies she has told about Eric Hovde. I mean, if it is the standard that a state assembly candidate, Ryan Anchak, can be criminally charged in Milwaukee County for a benign, and I actually heard from Ryan on Facebook. I'll read to you some of his comments that he made to me last night and how exactly all of this went down. If you missed it yesterday, an assembly candidate is actually criminally charged for lying about his opponent. It's kind of ridiculous. Dan O'Donnell Show back after the 10 o'clock news next.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good morning, I'm Ted Allen. A proposal to bring the Wauwatosa School District and Milwaukee Public Schools together. A special meeting of the Wauwatosa School Board yesterday revealed legal research into a possible partial merger between the two districts. The proposition had been kept private due to client-attorney privilege. That led to a concern from board member Michael Meyer.
It has to do with trust and transparency and secret dealings of the board.
Declining enrollment and birth rates in both districts are the reason for the study. It comes after both a $4 million budgeting error in the Wauwatosa district and a $60 million referendum for the district on the November ballot. Democratic vice presidential candidate Tim Walz will be in Wisconsin on Labor Day. Walz was in Milwaukee last week for a campaign rally with Vice President Kamala Harris during Day 2 of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. The Minnesota governor and his wife Gwen will visit Milwaukee Monday as a part of several Labor Day events for the Harris-Walz campaign to highlight unions and battleground states. Israeli forces were conducting a sweeping military operation in the occupied West Bank this morning, launching multiple airstrikes and deadly raids. Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz says the operation was the part of a full-fledged war as he compared the situation to what's going on in the Gaza Strip. Palestinian health authorities say at least 9 people have been killed. Checking the holiday automotive of Fond du Lac Sports scoreboard, the Brewers and Giants are at it again tonight at American Family Field. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
With nearly 50 years of experience, my dad, Jim Mullally, has taught my cousin Mark everything he knows. In fact, he bestowed so much expertise onto Mark that Mark went to New York to compete against the top furniture finishers in the country. And you know what? He won! So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. The bulk of our business is in wood furniture restoration. We found that there are a lot of folks out there with antique furniture and heirloom pieces that are in good shape, but just need to be brought back to life again. Well, that's our specialty. And right here in Mequon, you'll find one of the country's top furniture finishers. So if you want only the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Partly to mostly cloudy today with a stray shower or storm possible. It'll be cooler but still humid with highs in the 70s lakeside to around 80 inland. Overall, a big improvement from yesterday. Similar Thursday with storms returning at night. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Stephanie Barrichello.
This report is sponsored by Unbleep Your Life Show.
Hey guys, it's your favorite psychotherapist, Anita Astley. Join me every Sunday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. and let me help you unbleep your life and relationships. An hour dedicated to helping you untangle some of those relationship knots on News Talk 1130 WISN. Don't miss out, friends.
This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center. For the first time ever, Lynch Truck Center is having a massive construction sale on over 400 in-stock trucks, which include Chevrolet, GMC, Hino, and Isuzu. You will not want to miss it. We're adding parking, 7 more truck bays, and expanded parts storage, so we can better serve you, our customer. Did you know our experienced sales staff sold more Chevrolet medium-duty trucks and cabovers than all the other dealers in the state combined? With their knowledge on upfits, combined with our service department, we deliver turnkey vehicles for your business, including the right body for your application, bin packages, and even lettered when it's delivered right to your door. As a business owner, has managing your fleet grown into a full-time job? Our fleet department can help. We provide a free fleet analysis which guides you when to trade, help track expenses for maintenance, fuel, and even vehicle tracking. You'll be shocked on the money and time you can save, not to mention having new vehicles under warranty. Visit lynchtruckcenter.com and give us a shot. We won't disappoint you.
I think one of the things that patients don't realize is that when they get a joint replacement, that's not a lifetime treatment option. And they're probably, if they are a younger patient, signing up for multiple surgeries down the road.
As a physician and medical director for QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli's seen a pattern of trending joint pain. Prolonged medication, steroids, then surgery, possibly another surgery.
So a lot of our patients are trying to avoid or put off surgery, and this is the treatment that can help them do that.
QC Kinetics extracts your body's healing substances, concentrates them back into your aching joints to help heal and restore those areas, providing lasting relief.
Oh, I love being able to tell my patients, before we do this surgery, let's try another option. Let's see if this is right for you, because now they might not have to have surgery at all.
Call today for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable, nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by September 2nd, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Be sure to listen to the NX Wealth Management Investment Show Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on News Talk 1130 WISN. NX provides its expertise to arm listeners with the knowledge and tools to invest wisely. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference.
Kickoff is almost here, and iHeart is the official home of the NFL Podcast Network, featuring podcasts like NFL Daily with Greg Rosenthal.
Packing it with so much goodness, chock full of info.
And tons of fantasy football podcasts with expert advice for you to win your fantasy league. It's the best part of the season. Your team is undefeated and anything is possible. Take the iHeartRadio app and the NFL with you right in your pocket. Open the free iHeart app, search NFL, and start listening now.
I just wanted to say I listen to you on iHeartRadio every morning.
Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts.
Would happen if all of a sudden, I'm going to give management a heart attack right now. I decided to resign. I said, I want you to pull my name off the website. I want you to replace me with, I don't know, the Dave Michaels Show. And I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to change careers. I am endorsing Dave Michaels as my replacement. Will you shut up about my contract? Yes, I know I'm doing a bit here, you idiot. All right, I no longer endorse the Dave Michaels Show. What's Kevin Nicholson up to? I now endorse Kevin Nicholson. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Where's Kittle? Who haven't we had fill in a while? Scott Walker. There you go. I want Scott Walker. Mark Newman? Yeah, Newman used to fill in, didn't he? Did he fill in on my show, or did that predate me? No, I didn't have a show. He used to fill in for Belling. Mark Newman. That's who. Yeah, we are bringing back Mark Newman as my fill-in. Oh, wait. Yeah. My replacement. Excuse me. You got me so discombobulated. Johnny Carson never had to deal with this from Ed McMahon. All he would do is laugh. I go, Dan, you got a contract. This is my way of saying, imagine if I just decided to resign and management said, nope. I guess the contract analogy is apt because it does appear that the Wisconsin statutes are clear. RFK Jr. cannot simply say, I don't want to be on the ballot anymore. Take me off the ballot. This raises a rather interesting question, though, because the statute does allow for some ambiguity. What happens when a presidential candidate does fulfill all of the necessary criteria for inclusion on Wisconsin's ballot and then gets replaced in a last-minute coup? Interesting, isn't it? I am Dan O'Donnell, for now at least, your midday host, until Kevin Nicholson. And you know what? I am going to demote you. You're going to be filling in for Ben Yount at like 5 a.m. You're going to be his producer. That's what we're going to do with you. Yes, I have resigned, but I am also still setting the schedule. I don't know how this works. You have already screwed up this metaphor beyond any. We are back to we had radio excellence with JD Vance. By the way, we will have that podcasted separately. We will have the video up. Just a hilarious interview with JD Vance. If you didn't get a chance to hear it in the 9 o'clock hour, we were making fun of Kamala Harris for needing an emotional support buffoon in Tim Walz just to get through a friendly interview with Dana Bash of CNN. He also talked about the clear contrast in policy on Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, so much so that Kamala is now trying to ape Donald Trump's policies. Oh, yeah, I support no tax on tips, too. Great interview. Check it out. We'll have it up shortly after this show's conclusion. If you would like to join us, 414-799-1130. That's the adventknows.com talk and text line. 1-800-838-9476. Toll-free talk and text line. Email me, dod@iheartmedia.com. We are now streaming live. Had some issues with the Dano Cam last hour. Fixed now at Dan O'Donnell Show on X. Check out the show also on Facebook, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. YouTube, search for Dan O'Donnell or Dan O'Donnell Show. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, follow us on X, and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Smash that like button, as the kids say, on YouTube. And, of course, subscribe to the Dan O'Donnell Show podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to podcasts. The Wisconsin Elections Commission did approve ballot inclusion for all three of the major third-party candidates for the presidential election: Cornel West, Jill Stein, and weirdly enough, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Kennedy Jr., of course, on Friday, dropped out of the race and endorsed former President Donald Trump and said he was going to request that his name be removed from all battleground state ballots so that he wouldn't serve as a spoiler. Wisconsin and Michigan yesterday said, nah, you're staying on, buddy. Now, normally, I would take the Wisconsin Elections Commission to task over this because it obviously, I think, hurts Trump more than it would seem. Although it's kind of remarkable how many votes, and this is a good example, I think. Voters are a lot smarter than I think we give them credit for. When the Republican presidential primary rolled around in 2016, okay, the last time we had a contested presidential primary, and yes, I know 2024 was technically contested. By the time of Wisconsin's primary, it was all but settled. 2016, we had a vicious primary between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. Cruz, in fact, Wisconsin was the last state that Donald Trump lost. Cruz won Wisconsin. Marco Rubio's name still appeared on the ballot. Oh, Kasich, I guess, was still in the race as well. I forgot about that. John Kasich, ultimately a forgettable candidate in 2016, but he stuck around. God bless him. Marco Rubio's name still remained on the ballot. Did Marco Rubio factor in at all in the race between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump and John Kasich? No. Did Rubio's name on the ballot induce thousands and thousands of diehard Marco Rubio fans to check his name instead of Ted Cruz? No. All of the people who didn't want Donald Trump to win the presidency or win the Republican nomination at the time, and there were substantial ones, and I will firmly admit, I will openly admit, I was not a Trump supporter in 2016. I thought he was going to be a phony conservative, and I thought all he cared about with his message of populism was, well, being popular. That the second he faced any sort of blowback from the media or, more importantly, the public, that he would just abandon his previously held positions and go to the left. He did sort of go to the left on trade. He went to the left in what was more a fundamental paradigm shift in terms of how the two parties view. Trump was sort of the leading edge of what I think was a long evolution of Republicans in seizing the middle, in taking the positions that Democrats abandoned. I'll give Trump all sorts of credit that whenever he staked out a position that Democrats traditionally would have agreed with, I mean, protectionist trade policies. You don't get more traditional Democrat than that. Trump sounded on trade a whole lot like Bernie Sanders. What did Democrats do? They immediately abandoned all of their previously held trade positions because they didn't want to be agreeing with Donald Trump. Trump was a dogmatic conservative, but in a new interpretation of conservatism that included the most popular and I think widest held beliefs of traditional liberalism. The anti-war, anti-interventionist wing of the Democrat Party, which weirdly enough abandoned the leading figure of that movement, Cindy Sheehan, the second that Barack Obama was inaugurated, and started drone striking people. Trump was able to really broaden the Republican Party and bring in non-traditional voters in a way that Ronald Reagan was able to. Now, the difference, of course, was Reagan was a very warm, fatherly figure, and Trump is brash. He's New York. He's divisive. He talks smack. You know, nothing I'm telling you is anything new. We've known Donald Trump for, as a political candidate, nearly a decade now. But I said I thought he was going to abandon his principles. And I thought, once I saw that memo from the Clinton campaign, that they were clearly the most scared of Marco Rubio. They obviously had polling that showed Rubio was just going to destroy them. I thought, okay, I should back Marco Rubio. Clearly, this is the guy who, remember, in primaries, I am a single issue voter. Whoever is going to beat Democrats, that's who I vote for. Did I write in Marco Rubio or check the box even though Marco Rubio is no longer in the race? Of course not. I voted for Ted Cruz because I thought, okay, Ted Cruz is probably going to be the stronger conservative. And Democrats rather obviously want to run against Donald Trump again with the Hillary memos. This was made abundantly clear later on. I don't think Robert Kennedy's inclusion on the ballot in Wisconsin is really going to do a whole heck of a lot. It's not going to hurt Trump as much as I think liberals are celebrating right now. That his support, he may get 0.5% of the vote, but people realize that he had dropped out. The message will be out there that, oh, he dropped out. You can only see him doing joint appearances with Donald Trump so much before that sinks in. Will there be people who are still going to vote for Robert Kennedy Jr.? Yes, of course. Those people were never under any circumstances going to vote for Donald Trump anyway, so it doesn't matter. Now, as for the legality of what the Wisconsin Elections Commission did, they were, and I can't believe I'm saying this, correct. This is governed by Wisconsin Statute 8.35, vacancies after nomination. The statute reads, any person who files nomination papers and qualifies to appear on the ballot may not decline nomination. The name of that person shall appear upon the ballot except in case of death of the person. A person who is appointed to fill a vacancy in nomination or who is nominated by write-in votes is deemed to decline nomination if he or she fails to file a declaration of candidacy within the timeline prescribed under a different statute. So if, let's say, all of you listeners, all of you members of Dan Nation, write me in as the Dan Party's candidate for president, I can actually decline that because I didn't file a statement of candidacy, a declaration of candidacy. I can say, okay, well, I love you, Dan Nation, I do, but I really, really, really don't want to be a candidate. That's the only way you can decline. Here's the question I have, and it appears to be resolved within the same statute. But Biden went through that same process. He filed nomination papers. He qualified to appear on the ballot. Did he not decline the nomination? On July 21st, did he not say, I am not running again? Now, this appears to be settled by the fact that it is a recognized party for partisan political office. So technically, Biden was never nominated as the Democratic Party's candidate. He was required to get nomination signatures and qualify for Wisconsin's ballot, but because he declined the nomination and the Democratic Party's nomination went to Kamala Harris instead, and this is a recognized political party. Remember, RFK Jr. doesn't have a political party, so there was no nominating process for him. He just fulfilled all of the ballot requirements and he got on the ballot. That, to me, is the big difference here. And the Wisconsin Elections Commission does appear to have gotten this right. Even if Kennedy says, okay, I went through all this, psych, I don't really want to run. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. Now, you can make the case that, hey, this is really stupid. Let's say Bobby Kennedy Jr. had just an unbelievable tragedy. His wife, Cheryl Hines, passes away, and he's just so grief-stricken that he can no longer continue. He says, please, can I just be off the ballot? I don't want to do this. It would seem there's sort of a blind spot in the law for that. What about this? What if Bobby Kennedy is in a car crash and he's alive, but badly disfigured? Assassination attempt. Yes, let's say there's an assassination attempt. He's shot 4 times, and clear, just so we're totally clear in this hypersensitive era that we are in after the Republican nominee came within 4 millimeters of being assassinated himself. I'm just giving you hypotheticals. I'm saying I don't want to see Bobby Kennedy assassinated, obviously. What I'm saying is, what happens if he's in a coma? What happens if he can his name be taken off the ballot? Because the presence on the ballot does potentially impact the rest of the race. Now, in order to change this, it would require an act of the legislature and a signature by Governor Evers, and you'd better believe that he's not going to do that. I think the bigger issue, the bigger movement yesterday was the confirmation that both Cornel West and Jill Stein are on the ballot. Look, we have empirical data that shows Jill Stein very likely cost Hillary Clinton the presidency by winning Wisconsin. She got 33,000 votes in a race that was decided between Trump and Clinton by 20,000 votes. Now, the difference between 2016 and 2024, I believe, is that Hillary Clinton was such a known commodity, and people, remember, Hillary Clinton at that point had been a public figure since 1992. She'd been First Lady, she'd been Secretary of State, she'd been a senator, oddly enough from New York. Nobody seemed to mind that carpetbagging. But people had made up their minds about Hillary Clinton years ago, and they just did not like her. So people who would have otherwise voted for the Democrat, and also Donald Trump wasn't built up in the left's minds. Oh, sure, he was a racist, he was a boob, he was a buffoon, but he wasn't yet the mutant super Hitler that Democrats portray him as today. I would venture to guess that the Green Party's vote total is probably going to be substantially less. In fact, I think you could probably cut it in half. 15, 16, 17,000 votes, maybe. That could still be the difference. Would Bobby Kennedy still get 15, 16, 17,000 votes? I'm not necessarily sure. Because Kennedy dropping out, all of the people who were supporting Kennedy but saying, okay, well, you know, I'm supporting him because I don't like any of these other two guys, would they take seriously what Kennedy said in a very, very powerful, very good speech endorsing Donald Trump? I think it is a powerful statement that a Kennedy, of all people, is saying, don't vote for the Democratic Party because this is not the traditional Democratic Party. This is a left-wing autocracy. I think that does move people. I think that is powerful. I think you have that, and then you have the Tulsi Gabbard endorsement. There are a few people out there, and in a state of 5.8 million, it only needs to be 10, 15,000 people that say, yeah, boy, what are we doing here? The Democratic Party that I once supported, the Kennedy Democratic Party, just no longer exists. You are listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. It's classical conservatism, contemporary style.
Associated Bank knows your small business isn't just a venture. It's your dream and a vital part of the community. And we're not just a bank. We're your neighbors. We're looking out for you. That's why Associated Bank offers quick online applications and approvals with funding in as fast as one business day, checking with no minimum balances or maintenance fees, and prompt customer service. Explore our products at associatedbank.com/business or visit a branch for more details. Subject to credit approval. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I'm Victor Harding. If you or someone you love is injured, I highly recommend Best Lawyers Complex Litigation Lawyer of the Year, Warshevsky's Frank Cravello.
Frank here. If you're injured, the quality of your attorney and law firm will likely have greater impact on the compensation you receive than even the facts of your case. I highly recommend Best Lawyers Product Liability Attorney of the Year, Warshevsky's Victor Harding.
The quality of your attorney and law firm are huge factors in the compensation injured Wisconsinites receive. Injured?
It is about the money.
Warshevsky.com.
Learn the secrets to create your own ultimate backyard retreat with Brett Ochtenhagen of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services. Tune in every Saturday at 1 p.m. on News Talk 1130 WISN. Learn more at seasonalservices.com.
Hi, I'm Nick from Metro Milwaukee Homebuyer, and we'll buy your home as is in cash in as little as 1 week. You heard that right, as is in 1 week. We're a local family business that pays cash for properties as is. Just visit MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com to learn more.
Between market volatility, inflation, global unrest, and the presidential election, there's a lot going on. Take control with help from Annex Wealth Management. Have a plan built that matches up with your investment and retirement goals. Annex does it as a fee-only fiduciary with unbiased advice. Annex offers financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, and Annex Ignite. Head to AnnexWealth.com, click the Get Started button. It's time to put things in order. Know the difference with a fee-only fiduciary. AnnexWealth.com.
You hear more and more about identity theft in
in the news every day. That's because so much of your personal info is out of your control, like your insurance provider that has your social security number and your favorite retailer that has your payment details. If they get breached, your information's vulnerable. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code PLAY at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
News Talk 1130 WISN.
Kevin Sorbo here, and I have an important message to share. If you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Tax Network USA is A+ rated and has saved over $500 million for their clients. Whether you owe a few thousand or a few million, they can help you.
Call Tax Network USA at 800-728-2000 or visit tnusa.com. That's 800-728-2000 or visit tnusa.com.
Looking at the 2016 presidential primary, the Republican primary in Wisconsin, to try to get some idea about what a withdrawn candidate might actually get, to play spoiler, we had a three-way presidential race between Ted Cruz, who ultimately won and actually smoked Donald Trump in the Wisconsin primary. He got 533,000 total votes to Trump's 387,000. Kasich got 14% of the vote at 155,000. Marco Rubio, who did have some significant support, got roughly 10,000 votes, even though he had withdrawn from the race, I believe, shortly before Wisconsin. Ben Carson also withdrew 5,000 votes. Jeb Bush, Rand Paul, Mike Huckabee, Chris Christie, Carly Fiorina, Rick Santorum, Jim Gilmore, all withdrew. Roughly the percentage of the vote that all of those candidates got. Remember, each one of these had been, campaigning for a year, and they were well known to voters. Donald Trump was very unpopular in Wisconsin. A lot of people didn't like Cruz much either. I still don't know who those 155,000 people were who voted for John Kasich. That represented roughly 2% of the vote, 2.5% of the vote. But remember, Donald Trump didn't have the near unanimous Republican and conservative support that he did. Take a look at this. On the Democratic side, here's where you can get almost a better picture, right? Bernie Sanders won convincingly in the Wisconsin Democratic primary over Hillary Clinton. Martin O'Malley was the third candidate in that race. Pop quiz, what position did he serve? Mayor of Baltimore? Governor of Maryland. Yes, I believe at one point he was the mayor of Baltimore, like 20, 25 years ago, but he was the governor of Maryland. Yeah. He was governor of Maryland. He ran as the more moderate candidate, right? He withdrew and got 0.17% of the vote. He got 1,700 votes out of a million cast. This should have been something of an eye-opener for Democrats well before the presidential race. Republicans got about 100,000 more votes in the primary. Now, you can't always do a one-to-one comparison of which party is stronger in the primary. Does that party do better in the general election in that same state? But it is a pretty strong indicator. If you have more primary support, obviously this doesn't work if one party has a contested race. That's always going to draw more interest. But if both parties have contested races, and both of these races were contested, Sanders, Clinton, Cruz, Trump, you can take a look at it. Okay, we see there's more support here. Same thing in uncontested primaries. If both parties have uncontested primaries, generally speaking, that's a pretty good indicator of how the election is going to go. It is sort of interesting if you take a look at 2024. And I don't think this really has a bearing now because the candidate is obviously different. But you did have a contested primary in Wisconsin, technically. Nikki Haley, I don't know. Producer Dave, do you remember if Haley had withdrawn by the time Wisconsin rolled around? I think she did. I'm almost sure she did because we had the April primary. I'm fairly certain she dropped out by something like March, February. But she, Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, and Vivek Ramaswamy were all still on the ballot. March 6th. Okay, so almost exactly 1 month before Wisconsin's primary. Total votes in the Democratic primary, 578,000. Total votes in the Republican primary, 602,000. Again, it's not a one-to-one comparison, but we are seeing yet again, hey, look at this. We have Republicans outnumbering Democrats. Now, I still think Kamala Harris is probably the favorite here in Wisconsin just because of how much better Democrats have gotten. There are a lot more Democrats now. They come out of UW-Madison. We've got a whole lot of people being imported to work for Epic Systems. The Madison community is just growing by leaps and bounds. And since 2020, the rise of telework has left a lot of people who would otherwise be moving from UW-Madison to other states. They decide that they really like Madison, and you can go work for Google. You can go work for Meta and work remotely. This is something that didn't happen before. And you've also got what I think is a far bigger thing than people realize is the old Scott Walker coalition. Baby boom conservatives are now entering retirement age. And guess what? They're all moving down to Florida and claiming Florida residency, meaning that they're voting in Florida because Florida doesn't have a state income tax while Wisconsin does. So at the same time, you've got the biggest area of concentrated Democrat votes, technically second, but the biggest up-and-coming area of concentrated Democrat votes behind only Wisconsin or behind Milwaukee. And you simultaneously have people from the WOW counties who have the means to be able to have, say, a condo down in the Naples area or something like that. Instead of just being snowbirds, they're actually moving down there full time so that they can, or at least part of the time, 6 months plus 1 day, so they don't have to pay Wisconsin state income taxes. Well, guess what happens? You can no longer vote in Wisconsin elections, and that is actually having an impact. I think that's one of the major reasons that since 2016, everybody's been trying to say, well, it's this blowback to Trump. No, I don't think so. I actually think a lot of Republican voters have just left for Florida, and now you have far more Democratic voters coming in and taking their place. That said, we still have about a 20,000 vote swing one way or the other, depending on whether or not the Green Party is on the ballot. Is that going to be at play again? I think it probably is. Now you've got Cornel West, who might take another 5,000, 10,000 votes from Kamala Harris. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. Coming up next, I am going to reiterate my call to arrest Tammy Baldwin based on some very recent precedents. Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. I've been a big proponent of Lynch for a while now. Here's why. They're literally a family dealership and have been since 1957. That's increasingly rare in the dealership world today, but the Lynch family employs 500 plus people who are all dedicated to taking care of you. They've got a wide selection of new and used vehicles, extended service department hours for early drop-offs and late pickups, and most importantly, they're proud supporters of our local communities and schools. They also stand behind what they sell with Lynch-certified used vehicles, including a 168-point inspection to determine eligibility, an unparalleled 90-day or 3,000-mile certified guarantee, and a 10-day 500-mile exchange policy. And when you pair this with the Lynch Protected program, they cover your paint, your windshield, and your tires. It's easy to see why you should consider Lynch. Check them out today at shoplynch.com.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Dan O'Donnell, it's This Week with Annex Wealth Management, joined every week by the CEO of Annex, Dave Spano, but this week in particular is going to go a long way in determining what the Fed does with respect to rate cuts, as we've got NVIDIA, inflation, and jobs all this week, Dave.
Yeah, that's for sure. Market-moving news. We'll get an NVIDIA report Wednesday after the bell. Of course, we're going to get a PCE, that's Personal Consumption Expenditures report. That is the Fed's favorite indicator, and we're going to look at that number. And of course, we get more jobs reports, and that will all lead into what the Fed is going to do on September 17th and 18th at their meeting. Highly, highly likely that they're going to lower interest rates by at least 25 basis points. But as you point out, Dan, there is a lot of information that goes into that. And one of the things that we're going to watch is we saw the BLS, which is an employment indicator from the government, overstate. So the BLS was BS, overstated by some 800,000 jobs. The unemployment rate has gone from 3.4 to 4.3. Obviously, still not great, but it'll look higher over the next several weeks, especially before the debate.
And before the election. Remember, all of this is happening in the context of a presidential election year. And after Labor Day, that's typically the time at which most people start to pay attention. No coincidence then that the September 10th debate right after that between Trump and Harris. Look, we know there's a whole lot of uncertainty in politics, which affects the markets, which affects your bottom line. And that's why we always say you need to know what you own and why you own it. Get a portfolio review. It's totally free. It's called a wealth metric, only available at annexwealth.com. For Dave Spano, the CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. Thanks so much for listening to This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
Whether it was from a burn, heat, water, or a candle wax spill, if you have a great piece of wood furniture that has a damaged top, don't worry, because if we have to, we can refinish tops only. Other places may say you need to refinish the whole piece, but we can do better than that. So don't let your great piece go to waste. If it's just the top you need refinished, or for jobs of any size, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. He was told it would cost him $1,000 to refinish his chair. But when it was done, he'd be able to sell it for at least twice that. Only to find out that he paid more to refinish the chair than it was actually worth. You gotta watch out for dishonest people out there, but not over here. With over 50 years of experience, we'll give you a good idea of the value of your piece and whether it's worth refinishing. So for honest answers, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
Hey, Sean Hannity here, talking with the only real estate agent in your market I recommend, Justin Hoffman with RE/MAX Lakeside. Now, if someone's on the fence about selling their home, what is the advice that you would give them?
The advice I'd give them, Sean, is simple. Get off the fence. This is the time to sell. The buyers are waiting for homes to hit the market. And when they hit, they are coming at it like piranhas. The buyer doesn't need your flowers to be bloomed, your grass to be green. We're in Wisconsin. This is the time of year where the buyers outnumber the sellers. And these buyers want your house. They know the yard can look however it's going to look, and they're going to fix it to how they want. Don't wait for everyone else to come to the market. Beat the market to the punch. The buyers are waiting now. They're going to pay you more money because of less competition. And everything now is about speed, not precision.
Just go to wihomeeval.com. That's wihomeeval.com. Or just Google Team Hoffman and check out over 700 five-star reviews.
You live with teeth in need of substantial restoration long enough. Even teeth in need of substantial restoration can be restored in one visit with Ross Dental CEREC Restoration Mill, New Berlin and Waukesha. Smile like you just don't care, because you don't. RossDentalWI.com.
BlueMountainExpress.com. We will improve your move.
Statewide.
Between the lines,
far beyond legal and ethical limits,
and under the surface,
too dangerous or disruptive to the existing status quo.
Hosts Ben Bolin, Matt Frederick, and Noel Brown introduce you to the world of stuff they don't want you to know.
We have officially entered the age of biohacking.
History is riddled with unexplained events.
Is somebody messing with us?
Now it's time for some answers.
Take us to the edge of the rabbit hole. We'll do the rest.
Listen to Stuff They Don't Want You to Know on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Stuff They Don't Want You to Know and start listening.
Conservative thought, not just talk.
This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
You people all think I'm kidding, that I want Tammy Baldwin arrested and criminally charged. I most certainly am not. The precedent has been set this past week with a man by the name of Ryan M. Anchak, who ran unsuccessfully for the state assembly challenging Jocasta Zamarripa. He was, Zamarripa was running for Milwaukee Common Council. He claimed that she personally fired former Milwaukee Police Chief Alfonso Morales. Even though he knew this to be false, he had a flyer printed up that said, Jocasta Zamarripa personally fired. Now, any reasonable person would say, okay, this has got to be some sort of misprint or something. This guy's got to know that she didn't actually fire him. And Anchak actually reached out to me yesterday after we talked about this on the air, saying, just wanted to thank you for saying something about this joke of a case. My lawyer says it's unprecedented that they would charge this case, much less that it would go to trial and that I would possibly face jail time. This is it right here. I put a flyer out that was supposed to say Alderwoman Zamarripa supported the firing of Latino Police Chief Alfonso Morales. For whatever reason, unbeknownst to me, the flyer printed out Alderwoman Zamarripa fired Latino Police Chief Alfonso Morales. I'm extremely aware that she can't fire him, though she supported his firing many times, including Facebook posts and her own press releases, on top of multiple times vocally. The flyer was mailed out to a portion of the district, for I could not afford the whole district. I found out about the misprint from Dan Bice when he called me about this. Shocker. Scout's honor, I didn't even notice it, which is on me. I am responsible for my campaign. I did apologize personally in voicemail to Jocasta. I also apologized in the front page article that Dan Bice wrote on me, and I made a video I had on Facebook apologizing. This all over the word supported missing from my flyer. Nothing more. D.A. Chisholm knows this. I did personally deliver the flyer after finding out, since it was already partially distributed in the district. I knew I was already toast. I figure I'd get counseled at best, but not charged. Oh no, it is now a criminal offense. He now faces a criminal charge of making a false statement that is designed to impact an election. This is Wisconsin Statute 12.05. Mr. Anchak, according to the charging document, knowingly made or published or caused to be made or published a false representation pertaining to a candidate or referendum which was intended or tended to affect voting at any election. Now, didn't affect the voting. As you might imagine, Zamarripa won rather easily. But if we are going to now charge political candidates for lying about their opponents, I think the worst offender has got to be Tammy Baldwin. You might remember a couple of months ago, we outlined all of and let's not even get into all of the lies she's told about her Republican opponent, Eric Hovde. He lives in California. He hates single mothers. He doesn't want old people in nursing home voting. How about all of those ads where she said, remember she had the guy who said, Tammy Baldwin got Donald Trump to sign a bill and then got Joe Biden to make it permanent. That wasn't her bill. She had nothing to do with it. It was a lie. But it was in one of her commercials, and it was clearly designed to affect the election. Statute is clear. Wisconsin Statute 12.05. Will Tammy Baldwin ever be criminally charged for that? Of course not. In fact, I would argue that Wisconsin Statute 12.05 is in fact unconstitutional on its face because it violates the First Amendment rights. You do, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. Libs, if you would like to debate me on this, I would be more than happy. Do you have a constitutional right to lie? Can I tell you that it is Thursday on the radio? Yes, I can. Now, if I lie about someone, they can sue me for defamation. There are limits to the First Amendment, okay? You can't, I hate the thing that the example, what's the example that's always given? Fire in a crowded elevator. Yes, you can yell fire in a crowded elevator if there's a fire in a crowded theater or whatever it is. I hate that example. Hate. The First Amendment was clearly designed to protect political speech, to twist the record of your political opponent. How about this? How many people in Wisconsin were claiming that Donald Trump was a secret Russian agent before the 2020 presidential election? It had been proven by the Mueller report that this was not true, that the Trump-Russia collusion scandal was a lie. How many Democrats were actually saying that in Wisconsin? How many were criminally charged? This is the most insane prosecution, I think, and potentially the most dystopian. So this guy says, Anchak, and frankly, I don't know him. I guess he does. Okay, does he do in the interest of full disclosure, I just learned this yesterday after I talked about him. He does do the Valor Latino program, which airs on WISN on the weekends. To my knowledge, I don't think I've met him. I think I might be Facebook friends with him. I'm pretty sure he's active in Republican politics. If I've met him, I apologize. I don't remember it, Ryan. I just saw this, and it's not, it doesn't matter. I would actually probably, if this was Jocasta Zamarripa lying about Ryan Anchak and getting criminally charged for it, we are getting increasingly into the autocratic policing of free speech. By the way, the biggest example of this, of course, came yesterday, or 2 days ago, I guess, when it was revealed that Facebook was being pressured by the government. And I don't believe for a second that Mark Zuckerberg, oh my gosh, I'm terrified of the fact he was doing this willingly because he was trying to impact the election. So too was every single one of the content moderation team at Facebook. But the issue was, of course, that the government was getting involved in this. By the way, guess what we unearthed? November 17th, 2022, under oath, Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security, being grilled by Missouri Senator Josh Hawley and saying over and over and over again, nobody from my department, nobody from the federal government was pressuring social media to police content.
We have example after example of this administration coordinated, apparently, according to a federal court, by your agency, pressuring, coercing social media companies to engage in censorship. Is that constitutional?
That is unequivocally false.
It's what the emails show.
It is unequivocally false, Senator.
You are not pressuring the big tech companies to take down accounts. You are not meeting with them to ask them to censor on your behalf.
That is correct. We are not.
Mr. Secretary, it has been established for years in this country, as you very well know because you're a lawyer, that the federal government may not use private third parties to engage in activities that are unconstitutional. That's exactly what you and this administration are doing. You are leveraging private companies to carry out censorship on your behalf. It's dystopian, but worse than that, it's unconstitutional.
It's also false.
Oh, really? Notice Alejandro Mayorkas will never be prosecuted for perjuring himself before Congress, for lying to Congress. The only lies that get prosecuted are Republicans in Democrat districts who dare to run for the Wisconsin Assembly. I am Dan O'Donnell. We'll be right back.
It's not hype to underscore the obvious. The 2024 election cycle is critical to the future of our country and to the American experiment itself. At News Talk 1130 WISN, we're committed to cover everything that impacts this election and to do so with clarity, coherence, and unapologetic candor. It's up to the voters to support freedom and liberty, and it's up to us to provide them with information and perspective. For complete coverage of Decision 2024, trust us. News Talk 1130 WISN.
I'm Victor Harding for Warshevsky. Need to know what personal injury firm will get you maximum compensation? Ask around. Warshevsky is regularly referred to friends and family members of former clients, other lawyers, judges, law enforcement officers, insurance adjusters, often our adversaries. Refer Warshevsky because people with experience know we will achieve the maximum judgment or settlement possible. If someone you love is injured, please let them know because at the end of their ordeal, their injury is about the money. Warshevsky.com.
Hi, it's Jerry Bott. If you have chronic back pain, you absolutely know how miserable it is, how the pain crushes the joy in your life. But it doesn't have to be that way. If your back pain is due to a disc problem, there's a non-surgical procedure that helps discs recover. It's called Disc Seal, and it is amazing. It's an FDA-approved biologic that can be injected into a damaged disc and fix it. Quick procedure, minimally invasive, highly effective, success rate over 80%. Get your flexibility back. Get your pain-free days back. Get your vitality back. And those activities that you love, like golf and gardening and playing with the kids and the dogs, get it all back. And why in the world would you want to wait? Do it now. Make the call. It's Disc Seal, powered by Longevity Health 360. Call for a consultation. It's free. 262-200-2700 or visit WIDiscSeal, that's SEEL.com. Disc Seal, powered by Longevity Health 360. Reclaim your life. Do it now.
Gorgeous new roofs, showstopper siding, or classic brick and stonework. How about modern windows and regal doors that'll make your chin hit the floor? To a lot of people, having these things can really make them enjoy where they live. It makes them proud. But there's always one thing standing in the way. How do I make that happen? At Semperfi Roofing and Exteriors, we have excellent financing options for most people in most situations. 12 months, no interest, no payments, and exceptional rates for long-term loans that will beat your bank with no additional fees or hidden costs. You can go to SemperfiRoofing.com to apply for your pre-approval today. We want to make any project affordable to almost any person, and we've gone out of our way to find partners that can help make it happen for you. This is Brad Youngbluth with Semperfi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semperfi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi.
Ask about our finance options.
On August 30th, Reagan returns to office.
We are the greatest country in the world. We have just forgotten it.
You can run from a bully for so long, but after a while, you're going to have to stand up to him. I am about to start the biggest war of this century.
You told me you wanted to make a difference in this world.
What would you have me do?
I want you to fight!
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Reagan in theaters Friday, August 30th. PG-13 may not be suitable for children under 13.
I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
I'm Ryan Harrison, owner of Ryan Waterproofing. Your best choice for restoring your home or commercial foundation and walls. Seal cracks, repair walls, installing new drain tile or sump. Ryan utilizes higher quality materials and process for permanent restoration. High-powered HEPA filters keep your home from filling with dust. You'll recognize your project coordinator and every person on your property as good, hardworking people. Value pricing, free estimates, because praying for drought is overrated. Ryan Waterproofing. Call Ryan.com. That's call RION.com.
Need a tree on the ground now? Cut and Go offers same day or next day half service tree removal. We do the dangerous part, putting the trees on the ground in orderly fashion. You do the cleanup. A Trees and Tons movement. CutandGoTrees.com. That's CUTNGO Trees.com.
Join News Talk 1130 this Saturday at 4 p.m. for The Word on Medicine, the show that brings you the latest medical innovations and discoveries by physicians and scientists at the Medical College of Wisconsin. That's Saturday afternoon at 4 on News Talk 1130 1130 WISN.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
I don't want to focus too much on polls, but there is a brand new YouGov poll that's out. It came out yesterday afternoon. Yahoo News YouGov shows that there was no post-convention bounce for Kamala Harris. She has a better chance of winning the November election at 39%. Than former President Trump at 36%. Americans now think she has a better chance. Now, President Biden was badly trailing Trump on this question, 53% to 20%. But when it comes to the actual polling, Harris leads Trump by just 1 point. In other words, we aren't yet seeing a post-convention bounce. You would think that after 40 days nearly of Kamala Harris essentially not speaking to the media, not speaking in any sort of unscripted environment, and with Democrat enthusiasm being as high as it could possibly be. Remember, and this is not enthusiasm. It's not because Kamala is brat or because she's bringing back joy to Democrat politics. It's more relief that they're not certain to lose, and not just lose the presidency to Trump, but to lose everything. That was the fear. That was the terror in Democrats, and that's why they needed to make the change. It was interesting, though. I did pick up on the fact that Vance himself said, look, Trump is second-guessing the decision to debate Biden on June 27th, because what did we say instantly on this show, Dave? This is Democrats' way of trying to push him out. If by some miracle he has a great debate and he looks strong, he's okay, we'll go with the strategy of saying every time he stumbles, every time he looks like he's cognitively impaired, we'll call it a cheap fake. But it was impossible to ignore just how poorly he performed. That was what set the wheels in motion. Vance did say, look, Democrats were going to get rid of him no matter what. And I think that's probably true. They would have, if it wasn't the debate, they would have used their media allies to seize on some speech or some type of, no, they weren't, Dave. Oh, were they Dave says they already were laying the foundation. I'm not necessarily sure they were. It was such a shock. Remember, the day after, Friday, June 28th, we were stunned. Van Jones sounded like he was about to put down old Yeller, how he was talking about Joe Biden. Oh, we're just so sad to see this. It was like that the switch flipped and Democrats, it would have happened, I think, regardless. It might have been the July 4th speech that like the entire nation. But this just goes to show the power that the Democrats have in their utter and total control over the mainstream news media. I apologize, ran out of time for Guess What's Racist. That's my bad. We will be back tomorrow with more broadcast excellence, or at the very least, competence on the Dan O'Donnell Show.